Alright, so Squid Game 2 just recently released, and I kind of wanted to do a little review on the second season. Of course, I'm notably late, as per usual. I was going to do it earlier, but I was kind of feeling a little sick, a little cold or something around the New Year's time, so I just kind of put off the video until today. Okay, so Squid Game Season 2. I did not think that Squid Game really needed a sequel. I was never really opposed to it too much, but I was never really all for it. You know, I wasn't all, backed up for it. The trailer released, it looks pretty good. You know, it didn't blow me away or nothing. I was just kind of going in saying, I hope they really don't screw this up. They had a good thing going on. And I think I can confidently say that they didn't screw up. It was a very entertaining season. It was very good. Do I think it was better than the first season? No, it got close. It had its moments of glory, but I also think it had its moments of a little inconsistency, and we're gonna get into that. So the characters this season, I think the characters this season were strong, kind of like in the first season. Now, I could be wrong, and I could be misremembering, but I feel like there was a lot more characters to try to memorize this season than there was last season. I don't know if that was just me, because sometimes I got a little mixed up about which character is supposed to be which character with which backstory. I got a little mixed up because there was just a lot of characters in the mix. But other than that, I think almost all of them had pretty compelling backstories. But I also think for the amount of good characters that it had this season, I also think it had a lot of very frustrating characters. I mean, frustrating in a good way. They were meant to be frustrating. I'm gonna start with that old man. I think it's player 100, if I'm not wrong. Basically, he doesn't really have much of a backstory. He's just an annoying old guy. It's like, you of all people probably shouldn't be voting to continue the game, considering that, you're old. Teach their own, I guess. A character I hated was, I forget his name and his number, but it was like Thanos's buddy friend. Yeah, no, I couldn't stand him. He was an awful guy. Let's be real. I mean, I want to see him fail the next game hard. You know what I mean? A lot of people hate on Thanos. To be honest with you, I didn't really mind Thanos all too much. I actually kind of liked his character. Because I think while he was kind of an asshole most of the time, and maybe not so great of a person, I feel like the drugs he was taking really switched up his personality. Because I think he actually went from somewhat mostly restrained.
You safe, okay?
근데 난 이미 같이 하자고 얘기 중이던 사람이 있는데.
No problem. 누구야? 너 이름 뭐야?
저 민수요. 딱 봐도 너무 첩밥 같은 거.
What's up? Nice to meet you, my brother. Welcome to the Thanos world.
And then when he takes the drugs, it's like, he just goes on crazy. I'm gonna push people over and kill everyone type mode.
Ding.
And spoilers, of course. But then he dies to a fork. I mean, hey, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. I think the player 120, the trans character, was actually really well written. I like how the character kind of defied a lot of, stereotypes and bad reps by making her this super tough, military veteran that, is the harshest, most badass soldier there. I was kind of cool, I won't even lie. She was racking up bodies with those pink soldiers in episode 7. It was kind of crazy. I really like the character of the grandmother. I mean, she's there because of her son doing some terrible gambling things, and he's another character that annoys me. I love the grandmother. She's just such a sweet soul. It's like, I hated every time her annoying ass son went up and pressed to continue the games. It's like you're gambling on your mom's life, bro. Come on, your mom has to be the sweetest person, the sweetest, nicest, and it's like she could die in the next game, bro. And she almost did. Bro, I ain't gonna lie, I want to see that guy go. The son, the dumpsters for him. The dumpsters for him. But the grandmother, I hope she wins this game. I'm not even gonna lie, I hope she wins. Another character that really annoyed me was, I can't remember his name or number. It was the really scared kid that was scared to breathe the wrong way or something, that kind of sucked up to Thanos and that other guy. I could not stand him, especially when he saw that one girl about to, get stabbed and die. And he just, there's a little bottle there, and I can explain it. Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to explain why that was such a bad idea. The bottle could have missed. Could have hit her instead. Whatever, the point is, he was too scared to just stand up, walk his ass down the stairs, and 2v1 this guy. Come on, bro. It was a 2v1. They would have easily won if he just stepped into the... I want him to go. I'm sorry, I do. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd be scared in that situation too, but like, I wouldn't have just sat there and watched her die like that. That was crazy. I want to see him go. And there's this theory that he's actually a VIP, and you know what? For the sake of the character, and for the sake of the frustration that I have for this character, I hope he turns out to be a VIP. Because at least then somewhat his rationale to not saving that girl, I'm not saying it's justified, but like it makes sense. It makes more sense other than just, oh, I was too scared to do anything. Like, come on, bro. I thought he learned his lesson when he clicked to not continue the games. Like, I thought he was like starting to take steps to be more courageous, but like, no, I guess not. I thought the front man stepping in as player number 1 was a really cool touch. I can't wait until Ji-hun finds out who the front man is and that he was player number 1. I really liked in I forget what episode it was, but it was during the second game where it's like this guy was like genuinely like cheering on the people, like, oh my god, they're gonna do it. He was cheering more than Ji-hun. Like, he looked so happy that they, you know, past the game or whatever. And I have this fleeting suspicion that in a weird way, it's kind of hard to explain. In a weird way, I feel like he in a way kind of cares about the contestants, because I remember in season 1 when they, I think, weren't completely killing the character. I forget exactly what happened, but he was getting on one of the guards because he's saying, hey, you know, whoa, we're giving these people a last chance, and these games need to be fair, and you're not making these games fair. That's a problem. And, you know, he went and shot the guards.
너희들이 시체에서 장기를 떼어내서 팔든 장기를 통째로 씹어먹든 난 관심이 없어. 하지만 너희들은 이곳에서 가장 중요한 걸 망쳐놨어. 평등이야. 이 게임 안에선 모두가 평등해. 참가자들 모두가 같은 조건에서 공평하게 경쟁하지. 바깥 세상에서 불평등과 차별에 시달려온 사람들에게 평등하게 싸워서 이길 수 있는 마지막 기회를 주는 거야.
So, I mean, obviously, he's in the wrong, and don't get me wrong, by, you know, continuing these games and running the games, he's a terrible, awful person. But point is, in a weird way, I feel like he does kind of somewhat care. He cares about the integrity of the fairness of the games, in which I guess he just cares at giving everyone a fair shot. But it's like you kill them if they lose. It's like, I feel like you can just create a game where they just go home instead of die. Hey, that's just my thoughts. I think that would just be easier. I mean, that would, you know, save the whole series from ever existing. So, a surprising character that I found extremely intriguing was the recruiter. I really liked that he was so dedicated to this game, and it's like from season 1, you would really never guess that he was like, you know, so crazy, really. But I liked how, you know, we first see him and he's like handing, you know, the homeless people like lottery or bread, and you know they all choose lottery, and most of them choose lottery. And then he, you know, dumps the bread on the floor and starts like stomping on it, being like, "You did this! You chose a lot of yada yada yada." You know what I mean? And then, you know, Ji-hun's 2, you know, guards or whatever go find him, and then he plays this crazy game of Russian roulette. And then Ji-hun catches up to him, and he plays another crazy game of Russian roulette. Except he's in the game this time, and it's like you can see through his actions, because I mean, he died. You know, he played the game fair, and when the bullet was loaded in the chamber to him, he took the shot and died. And I mean, he died for his belief system and to prove a point. And I thought that was intriguing. Honestly, I mean, that made him a very compelling character. And I think the theme drives home with the front man. I think the whole time, I think he was in danger of dying. I mean, I think he entered the games and played the games lawfully. Lawfully is a crazy word. Fairly. I think you can definitely see that during the merry-go-round game, where the one guy enters the room with them, and it was like an extra person, and he's like, get out now, and he's like, and the other guy's like, no, I'm not getting out. And he goes over there and like chokes him out and snaps his neck. And I think he did that I think he like genuinely was in danger of dying. I don't know. I generally think by entering the games, he was putting himself in danger. Not to mention his masked men were shooting at him. I mean, not directly at him, but shooting around and near him, which, a stray bullet could have easily caught him and killed him. So I think he was in danger the entire time. Lastly, the main character Ji-hun, I think, is very good. I like his character transformation. He's pretty much unrecognizable from the Ji-hun back in season 1, especially in the early episodes. I mean, that's reflective of the picture he takes on the thing, in the first season. He's like all smiles, like, and then this season he was all like, and so I liked how his character progressed in this like leader type guy. Although I think he makes some really bad decisions throughout this season. He makes some of that, put your, hand up here and close your eyes type decisions, because it's like, come on, bro. Come on. So speaking of the decisions he makes, I'm going to transition into the plot of the season. And I think episode 1 was a little dragged out. I think it took them a little long to find the guy. Like, I get they're trying to show a little realism, but I mean, they could have found the recruiter a little faster than what they found him. But once they found him, I mean, I think it became one of the most interesting parts of the show, especially that game of rock, paper, scissors, -1 with the Ji-hun's 2 guards. I think that was such an intense scene, because it's like, one of them are gonna die, and it's like, you don't really want either of them to die, because they seem like, I mean, they're not great people, but, they seem like decent enough people that you don't want them to die, you know what I mean? I mean, the one guy just got married, and the other guy, was like the best man, or commenced his wedding, or something like that, and so it's like, oh, it was terrible to watch. It's like, you don't know who's gonna die. Bullet can go off at any second. Ooh, oh my god, that was intense. That was intense, and it just showed how batshit crazy the recruiter guy was. But of course, the show's called Squid Game, and we had to find a way for Ji-hun to actually enter the games. So basically, after an operation gone wrong, Ji-hun ends up in the limo and tells the front man, like, hey, put me back in the games, because he thinks, he has a tracker in his tooth. So he thinks, like, oh, well, if he takes me to the games, then they'll be able to track, yada, yada, yada. Turns out, once he actually gets into the games, back in the lobby area, they took the tracker out of his tooth. So the side plot with the cop brother of the front man and the sailor ends up just kind of being the most useless subplot ever, because they don't do anything. I mean, except we get one revelation that the sailor was like a traitor or working for the games, which I should have saw coming. I didn't see coming, but it was like, when it happened, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I should have saw that. That's a twist I didn't see coming, but I should have saw coming, honestly. I mean, once we get into the games, it starts off with the usual red light, green light, and then after that, they kind of changed it up a little bit. I wasn't really crazy over the second game. It was just a culmination of a bunch of other mini games, and I didn't like this one because, I mean, the 2 pairs of main characters were grouped together, so it's like you kind of know that they can't die. I mean, the one group had a higher chance of maybe the writers killing them off, but when the writers kill off all the characters that we just got to know and just started sympathizing with in the second game, and so, obviously with the main characters get killed, you have no show. So I really wasn't on my seat with suspense on that one, to be honest with you, especially since they really didn't show too much of the other teams. I mean, they showed a little bit, but I mean, it's like, the other teams they show, most of them are gonna die because they're not the main characters. So it's like, that was a really predictable episode, in my opinion. It was alright. I just like the games when they're, actually like intense, and you're like, oh my god, which character's gonna die? Because you always know there's at least 1 or 2 characters that you sympathize with are gonna, die in one of these games. But it's like that game was just one where it's like, yeah, no one we really sympathize with is gonna die in this game, or else the whole group dies, and that's just not gonna happen. The third game was pure chaos. I loved it. 2 characters died. Very sad about that. The grandmother almost died, and that would have destroyed me. That's why I hate that one guy. The son just kind of left her out for bait. And then in the episode following, that's when Ji-hun and his friends try to stage an uprising against the guards. And I could say that's a stupid idea, because they have this plan to let some of the other players kill some of their players so that they can make an uprising on the guards, which was never going to work, which is why it was a stupid idea from Ji-hun in the first place. I see what he was trying to do, but it was dumb. They should have just killed the other players and went home. That's my thoughts. A lot of people didn't like the time spent outside the games, but I liked it. It was more world building, and it made it more devastating when he entered the games. And overall, I do think that this season wasn't quite on par, especially with how it ended, because it ended quite randomly. Just like, his Ji-hun's friend dies, and then boom, it's over. So it ends so randomly. For those reasons, I don't think it's as good as season 1. I think I sympathize with the characters maybe a little more this season. But again, I might be misremembering the first season a little bit. Other than that, though, the season, I mean, it was meant to be one really, like, I think 15 long episode season, and they just cut it in half, and you can really feel it. Other than that, though, I think the characters are strong. Ji-hun is strong. Character development, awesome. Time spent outside the games, awesome. The recruiter, crazy, cool, but awesome. I like the subtle lighting changes. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but, you know, the lighting looks a little, it just looks a little more, like, richer. It looks like they put a little more money into, like, the lighting. I don't think anyone cares about that, but, I mean, I do, so. Yeah, other than that, let me know what you guys think about Squid Game Season 2. Can't wait for Season 3. Hopefully Season 3 ends it. I don't want a Season 4. Other than that, thank you guys for watching.